GM Gaz, hey, nice to see you, bud. Oh, I just turned myself off. Let's get that screen back again. Just push the off button on my laptop. That's not going to help. There we go. Yeah, just wait for a few people to come in. I mean, I used to do these live on stage in Discord, where I guess you need people in, but these are pre-recorded. Well, they're not pre-recorded; they're live, but they're recorded, so people tend to watch them later. So I guess we can just jump right in. There's quite a lot to get through today. I've got loads of tabs, and this is probably the wrong way to do this. I'm quite new to the streaming thing, but I've got all these tabs open here. Helps me to organize stuff and line everything up. So just to jump in with the Nikkei to address, obviously, the black swan at the beginning of the week, still working its way through the system, and the US markets have just opened right now. So we can't infer too much from them, but no major dumping in pre-market. And this is the closing candle. Well, it's not closed, it's the weekly, but the Nikkei is closed. It's like 10:30 in Japan. And this looks pretty good to me. This weekly candle's green. It's Thursday. We've got tomorrow to get through. If we zoom into the daily, it's been climbing back up. The Bank of Japan has capitulated on their rate hike after all the volatility that it instantly caused on Monday, even before markets opened on Monday. And, in futures, people were panicking already. So, yeah, this looks to me like it's going to be some kind of a flash crash, or at least a short-term volatility event. Not so much as a risk-off event as more of a refactoring of capital flows. Yeah, it looks good to me. Initially, we thought that this whole carry trade was going to have to close, and that's caused a lot of volatility. Then they backpedaled on their interest rate hike. It seems like it's working its way through the system. Just to have a look at the VIX, we looked at this the other day. So this is obviously a long-term view, looking at where the VIX has spiked dramatically like it did on Monday, and what the net result has been. Obviously, the acceleration in volatility that we saw, we're in a suppressed volatility regime for quite a long time, from sort of late September 22 until just the other day. And when you have that long period where the VIX is just trending down, and we got to this low level and stocks were more or less up only for quite a long period, ultimately you do have these events where risk happens slowly, suppression, and then all at once things get priced in. The end of the carry trades, $20 trillion, some people were saying. The risk of recession in the US, just everything that's been building up kind of pops out at once. So the biggest event prior to this one, this is just a massive acceleration. You can see the RSI. It's more actually clear on the weekly, I think. If I just zoom into that, it's actually higher. Well, it's not quite as high as the COVID crash. On the daily, it's massively high. But anyway, back to the 3-day, because that gives us the whole view here. So, yeah, you can see that these three prior events of a similar scale, similar volatility scale, were significant for Bitcoin. The COVID crash obviously marked a major low prior to the beginning of the last cycle's run-up. And then in 2018, this was basically the big dump immediately at the commencement of the bear market, 2018-2019 bear. So although that wasn't a great place long-term to buy, it did actually give you a massive 2x bounce. Not quite 2x, but almost. From the bottom at 6,500 all the way up to like 12,200. And then the other time was essentially the 2015 bottom prior to the gigantic 2016-17 bull run. So, here you had Bitcoin basically at $220. and then just steadily grinding all the way up to $20,000, like literally almost a, what is that, 100x huge run up. So yeah, these have all been good opportunities. This one, not so much long term, but in the short term, definitely like a 2x on Bitcoin. I don't think this is where we are in the cycle. I still think that this is a consolidation pattern before we run higher. We've just had the halving. Liquidity conditions are improving. There's almost no way we're at, we haven't had this scale of run up that we had in 2017, nothing even close to it. So yeah, I think we're still preparing the ground to run higher. And we've got some more evidence of that as well. Yeah, just briefly looking at the S&P, this uptrend is still intact. Let's see what happens today. Market's only just opened, so I don't want to infer too much, but let's hope this holds over here. Nasdaq, similar situation. Uptrend is still pretty much intact. Was that a regular chart when I drew this? Maybe not. But anyway, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, this is obviously a very fast and aggressive sell-off, but that's what you get with flash crashes, and then you get a big bounce, which we're starting to see in Japan. And I suspect, hopefully, we'll see something similar here today. Yeah, so then just to look at Bitcoin, marked out all the levels the other day. Today's been interesting. I've been up since 3 a.m. actually, so excuse me if I'm a bit delirious, but I was up in time to see just after the Asian markets opened, and we got some good price action. We were rolling over a bit yesterday, but I need a mouse, don't I? I'm traveling in Zimbabwe. I'm sitting in a Zimbabwean cinema in someone's house with no mouse and one laptop and no extra screen. Yeah, so I don't know why it's taking me back to the Nikkei. Let's get my Bitcoin chart back. We've got Starlink here, but sometimes the internet's pretty busy. There's a lot of people here. Let's get my levels back again. There we go. Yeah, so this morning, the Asian markets opened and they started buying Bitcoin, which kind of makes sense because liquidity conditions, China's in a recessionary state. The People's Bank of China is easing. Liquidity conditions are improving dramatically over there, which we'll look at in a minute. So in terms of levels to clear, this is really our first hurdle. These were the lows here. There's a volume node here. If I just zoom in, look at that. This is the big 52K level. This will refactor. There we go. So yeah, this is our kind of consolidation / bull flag if you put your bull goggles on. This is a level we need to hold, and we're not having a problem at the moment. This could still roll over and we get some more consolidation here, but today's been pretty good on the whole. Good buyer interest from the Asian session, and let's see what happens now. If I zoom in, you can't infer too much at the US market open because it tends to sometimes run counter trend for the first half an hour, or it just chops around and it takes a little while for the market to settle into a direction. But basically, it looks like we might clear this quite soon. Yeah, maybe a bit more consolidation, or we could just go straight through and then retest. And then what we want to kind of get through here is this new CME gap, which I've marked out here from 59,500 up to roughly like 62,650. So yeah, it seems likely we're going to go for that gap. Then whether we correct from there, I don't know how far we might come down. We'll have to wait and see. Up here, we also have the 200 daily moving average. 200, no, oh, that's a cross. We don't need that. We want this guy here. Yeah. So this is this is a significant level on the daily. If I just switch to the daily time frame, and yeah, that's your traditional bull bear market pivot, is the 200-day moving average, which is around the same level as the CME gap. And you've also got a big volume node there, which you can see over here on the right hand side. We'll just zoom out a bit. Yeah, so this is a big level for me. I mean, this is the final boss, but this is big too. We need to reclaim this, and in a, preferably on a weekly closing basis, for some degree of assurance that we've reclaimed this 200-day. I mean, when we lost it previously, was down here at this big dump, and actually took quite a fucking long time to reclaim this thing. This is what happens when you lose a big level, a big MA like this, because people recognize it as kind of like a bull bear pivot essentially for the markets. So it often takes a while to reclaim. Hopefully it's not going to take that long if this is a flash crash. And then I think this is obviously the final boss. I think this trend line is still gonna be significant, which is why I've left it in. So let's see. So there's a lot of work to do here, but we do have some hopium on the liquidity front and also on the sell pressure front. So Cato tweeted this today. Have I got let's just use this one. Just all this sell pressure that's working its way through, which has been painful, obviously. But at the same time, once the market's absorbed it and processed it, then it's super hyper fucking bullish, basically, because how much more pain can it's been FUD for like 3 cycles, probably. People have talked about the Mt. Gox coins. When is Mt. Gox going to distribute? When is all that sell pressure going to come into the markets? That's underway at the moment. The US government holds a significant amount of Bitcoin, periodically sees Bitcoin, including assets linked to Silk Road. These sales have been conducted through auctions. So that's being processed at the moment. And obviously the German government wrapped up their Jeep Fest a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so. And Genesis, a major player in crypto lending and trading space, has financial difficulties. All this stuff is working its way through the system. And then what you could add to that, which we had the other day, is minor capitulation. Like post-halving, you get minor capitulation. It's just part of the process. The block reward gets cut in half. Miners get, half of what they used to get. Weakly positioned miners who haven't prepared for the cycle have to shut off machines. Hash rate dives. They shut down their machines. And this is what this hash ribbons signal is tracking. It's basically just a pair of MAs tracking hash rates. And the signals you get after the halving tend to be really good ones. In fact, most of these signals are great buy signals. We can zoom out a little bit and then see how quickly this thing will process. Come on, baby. Give me some internet. I feel like I'm in that South Park episode. There we go. Yeah, so I've still got these marked here, so that's good. So here you can see the halving in 2016. This is the first hash ribbons buy signal after the halving. Gigantic run up. Here you're at like $580. Topped in 2017 December at like 20,000. Same deal here. The halving in May 2020. First hash ribbons buy signal after the halving, 8,500. Topped. Really, we topped in November 21 at like 68. So yeah, super bullish that all of this sell pressure, minor sell pressure, and everything else is finally being resolved. It's taking its time, and obviously we've had Jump cheating all their ETH now. Massive pain on the ETH front, but we do have some hopium on the liquidity front, which is what we're looking at here. apologies if I'm banging on about this, but this looks good to me. So this is just a weekly Bitcoin chart showing at the bottom here 2 major sources of global liquidity. Crypto runs when there's excess liquidity in the system. It's just a fact of the cycle. You saw it especially last cycle with all the COVID helicopter money. Everybody getting their stimmies and throwing it into meme stocks and sundry crypto gambles. Unfortunately, that's just the way things are. And liquidity from here, when we started consolidating, that tarried up with an air pockets or a general lack of liquidity. So this is PBOC, the People's Bank of China, tracking their liquidity injections. They are currently in recessionary conditions, like worse than the US. They're in deflationary conditions. They've also got issues with the yuan being overvalued in terms of its offshore strength. It's stronger offshore than it is at home. So they need to devalue their currency and they need to ease, which is exactly what they're doing. This is all being tracked by Michael Howell and the cross-border capital guys. But you can see here we had this pump that lined up more or less a bit earlier, but when we started running up in October last year with Bitcoin from 26, 27K. Again, we've got the spike over here with the Chinese. And I think this is going to trend up possibly even higher than this level here because they are needing to ease big time. And then at the bottom, we have net USD liquidity. So obviously this is the Fed and the US situation. And here again, you can see before each run up, we have this spike down in liquidity, and then it ramps up from there. Here again, this is the bottom, obviously, after FTX collapse, we had the spike down in liquidity, and then recovery after the spike. Spike down here at 26.7K, and run up after that. And we've just had another one. This looks like quite a tight downtrend, and we're about to push our way through it. So yeah, this looks really good to me. And then obviously the third leg of the 3-legged liquidity stool, the third major source of liquidity is your bond markets. Bonds, the biggest source of collateral for leveraging up your bags, like in the global economy, basically. And the thing that determines how much you can leverage up your bonds is bond volatility. So the lower your bond volatility, the more liquidity in the system. This is the MOVE index, which tracks bond volatility. Below 95 is better. We've just had this black swan, which has caused some turmoil in the bond market. And you can see here how it's spiked through the trend line, but that's coming off over here. The MOVE is rejecting the pump from its life, which is exactly what we needed to do. Yeah, lower MOVE is better, and it looks like we're about to get there. Yeah. So yeah, that's the liquidity situation. And then just to have a look in the ETH market, I've been very kind to ETH in the last 9 months or so. Although I have shorted on a couple of occasions when we had the last big run up. But yeah, I mean, this is just a massive capitulation in ETH BTC that was, kind of coming for a while, I guess. I mean, on a couple of occasions, like over here, I thought we were going to break to the upside just after ETF announcement, but kind of the opposites happened. And really, like, this is kind of psychological torture. If you're a big ETH bag holder or a maxi, and you've had your ETF news surprise confirmation that you're actually going to get an ETF when nobody thought it was going to happen. And then knowing how much of a massive catalyst that's been for the Bitcoin price, the most successful ETF of all time. And then to just have this giant sell-off, driven by jump. But yeah, ETH has just underperformed for so long, and it's been max pain. But at the same time, I don't want to label this, but let me get the Coinalyze because someone asked me about this when Jerry and Grant were on stream just now, and I said I would talk about it. So let's just look at this again. the long-short ratio for Ethereum, because this is what I've been looking at for probably a month now, maybe longer. Switch to daily. So basically, this just tracks the number of accounts that are long ETH across all the main exchanges, the number of accounts that are long ETH versus short ETH, which doesn't sound meaningful. Actually, if I look at my tweet, maybe that's better, because I marked off all the areas of interest. So basically what you see with ETH, and this applies to Bitcoin as well, is that ETH can only pump and Bitcoin can only pump when that long-short ratio is at a reasonable level. So here's just a chat, just sort of a thread I had with the cat earlier today on Twitter. So this is looking at the weekly chart of ETH going all the way back to last cycle. And you can see how massively high this ratio is here. Like we're around 2.25, trending all the way up to like 2.7. So to me, this is like a situation where people are consensus long ETH. This is higher than anything you saw last cycle, even though we had giant ETH pump last cycle from like 2-digit shitcoin levels all the way down here up to like 5K almost was the top. We never saw this level of long short, of long accounts to short counts. And what you also see, okay, is you get a nice big run up here from like $100, 80 even, up to what, 250 something. And we top out here at like a level of 2. And then what happens as you start running up again, sentiment has reset and people close longs as you go up. And that gives you more juice to keep going higher. And here again, topped over here, longs close, gives you more juice to this red line. This has been a fairly consistent level for a reset and the ability to go higher. Here we haven't had that reset because my theory is that like we're in an environment where ETH has outperformed Bitcoin over the last 2 cycles by like quite a lot, by a country mile. Now we also have an ETH ETF. Everyone's aware of how beneficial that was for Bitcoin. And to me, there's just a massive consensus long situation where, you know, if I zoom in on this chart, you can see this is the daily chart, the same deal, the same data. You can see how we started pumping here. As we ran up, longs closed. They didn't think price was going higher. Sentiment was not like bull-totted. People were like, I've made my gains. I'm closing my longs here at the range highs. And price just kept running. Here again, like you see longs closing, resetting. Here again, resetting. And we ran higher. But now we're up here. We can't run higher anymore because these are weak hands. These are consensus longs. People are just smashing the green button regardless into like shit price action. Okay, we had ETF approved here. And that was nice the way longs closed, but it didn't come past 1.5. And here we are after a massive dump, like super bearish, the most bearish ETH price action in living memory. And we're still sitting at this level. So regardless of like crypto Twitter sentiment, and Cato is obviously also flagging that ETH is the worst of all time, I can still see this positioning here. To me, is too high. So I don't know what that means. Like, are we going to chop around? Do we trend up to the highs and these longs close? I mean, that's a real possibility because we've seen that kind of price action before. That would be super healthy. If we start pumping in this bad sentiment market landscape, and as we go up, longs close into the highs, people de-risk, they open shorts, whatever they do, that would be super bullish because to me that would give us the juice. If we come down here to 1.2 to 1, even 1-to-1 short longs, that will give us the juice to make new highs, go to special new places, 5 digits, 10K, whatever ETH. So yeah, that's just my view on ETH. And you can see the same pattern if you look at the Bitcoin long short accounts, Solana as well. Solana is actually looking a lot healthier than this. Bitcoin is healthier. So you can see this long bias when you compare it to other majors as well. Sorry to bang on about this, but I feel like taking crazy pills because other people don't see this, and to me it seems quite obvious. Yeah, so this was, yeah, we're looking at hash rooms. We looked at that already. Liquidity we've looked at. Move index, ETH BTC. The ETH chart, obviously this is like this 1.9 level is a huge volume node. I don't know if we go down there. Didn't be an exaggerated squiggle. Was that all? This little head and shoulders over here basically looks to me like a fractal of this massive year-long head and shoulders. I don't know if things will be this painful because this takes us all the way to April 25. So yeah, I'm going to watch that Coinalyze chart and basically read and react to that and see what happens. To me, this is a beautiful, beautiful chart. Sorry, ETH maxis, but yeah, this looks really good to me. I know some people have been saying, oh no, there's bear div on the daily and Sol ETH's going to retrace, but look how long it took to break these highs. I don't see this coming back anytime soon. RSI tested the 50 level on the weekly, which is important on a weekly retrace. You want to hold the 50 to give you an idea that your uptrend is intact, that it's a dip you can buy. That's exactly what we've seen. This looks like it's rounding. It's going to chop its way back up there again, I suspect. And if I look at my Solana watch list, and no red. Okay, mango. It's a dead coin. Yeah, this looks great. Just a giant cup and handle with a W bottom printed at the highs. And this took what? This has been 8 months of consolidation at the highs. So I think you must be a fucking idiot if you think this is coming back anytime soon. And it just isn't. Yeah. Yeah, and then moving on from majors. Zero, look, this morning. Hasn't moved a whole lot yet. Longed it from 319, but I like this MA cross. We've got we've seen this MA cross work before for Zero. Over here, fantastic long from 260 all the way up to 370. Here again, a little longer. Here again, when the consolidation ended from $4 up to like 510. And then even a short over here that was very clean when the trend line broke. This would have been a beautiful short from 430 down to what, 320. So yeah, I just longed it, and this is obviously the point of control over here. Is your main resistance on this chart is at $4, so it seems like an obvious place to get out. Maybe take some profits here at 375. I'll just wait for this to develop. We could even get another dump here into yeah, into the red. Stock's kind of rolling over here, but yeah, I don't know. I'll just give it some time. Looks good. So I'm GM Cat. How are you doing, bud? Good to talk to you on Twitter today. Yeah, so moving on, Kamino. I put this in the newsletter today. Just a lot of good Solana projects looking really good. Just massive green. This thing's up 33% today. It's enormous. Probably wouldn't have put it in the newsletter if it had pumped that hard, but it was, yeah, it was a bit lower earlier. But so I don't know why I did that. Let's look at this, the weekly again, or the 3-day rather. Yeah, I just like the way it's started. Massive sell-off from 4 cents down to like less than 2, and just bought straight back up again, all in the space of a week, back above this high time frame support. Got an MA cross. This is a 1020 MA cross on the 3-day, just triggered before the sell-off. And we've had this dump, taken all this liquidity down below. I can't see us going back down there. Maybe we retest this red line, but this looks good to go towards sort of the 8 cents area with some resistance here at 6, but it looks good for a run if the broader market's supportive. And then Jito. Oh yeah, I was going to look at just some fundamentals on Kamino. These guys have a massive share of the lending markets on Solana. I think only Jito has more TBL in them, something like 1.5 billion TBL, something like that. They're targeting 10 billion. They're actually quite a cool team, super committed to the whole Solana ecosystem. Sol maxis, I guess. Maybe next cycle we'll hate them. But for now, they seem pretty cool to me. Super committed to the platform. Like they have this cult-like energy around what they're building, which is what you want to see. Yeah, and then where's my tweet? Yeah, basically Zuma was basically calling it the Aave of Solana, which is kind of accurate. The biggest lending platform. Bullish on it. And Drift as well is another good one, although the chart doesn't look as good today as it did the other day. Yeah, that's my tweets with Cat. That's not totally relevant here. Oh yeah, and then yeah, it's just the TVL. So it's taken off, but it looks like it's making some higher lows. So DeFi Llama data is looking decent. And then Jito, the biggest TVL on Solana, also awesome buyback, also poking its head back above this point of control. We had this long channel ran up that broke down even before Monday's Black Swan. It's been choppy price act. Just haven't had the liquidity. Hopefully that'll change soon. So yeah, this looks really good to me. And then yeah, just moving on to WIF, still I guess on the SOL beta tip. This thing looks like it's making a recovery. This candle was chunkier earlier, but still looks promising. This is like big volume over here. Big weekly candle in the making. Let's see what happens into the weekly close. Yeah, bullish on this thing. Popcat looks better. Also sold off a bit since a couple of hours ago. But just, I mean, this VWAP was support, deviated beneath it, support, Black Swan, dumped right to the bottom of the old range, back above the mid-range. This candle was right up here earlier. It's sold off a bit since then. But still looks okay to me if I zoom into the hourly. Yeah, I think this range gets broken again soon. Jerry was saying earlier how nice this thing is to trade because it's quite clean. Hopefully we can close the weekly a bit higher than here, but still looks good regardless. And then Keith was another one that I was trying to highlight. We talked about this yesterday, I think. So this candle's also sold off a bit since earlier, but I just like the surrounding bottom. These consistent high lows and the reclaim of the point of control. If this can be held into the weekly close, then I think it's going to look really good. Zoom into the week, or zoom out to the weekly rather. Yeah, the weekly is not great. It'd be cool if this could close somewhere around here-ish. Then it'll look better. But yes, kind of like a sleeper pick. Sitting on the VWAP, on the yearly VWAP, so still looks pretty good. We don't need to look at WIF again. Right, this is CRV. I just put this in because there are massive accounts shilling this thing because of this bull div on the 3-day and some fundamental reasons that I don't really know or understand. But yeah, just another DeFi 1.0 protocol. It was Credible Crypto, who's got like almost 500,000 followers. I'm not a huge fan. I think he's a bit of an engagement bait kind of dude. And then also Cold Blooded Shiller, who I like much more. Also Giant account, both shilling this thing. But there's still an active downtrend here. Sure, there's a bull div, which looks interesting because it's taken a while to develop. But you've also got this big point of control resistance level here. So I guess I'll just watch this. I'd be more interested to see it breaking this downtrend and reclaiming this big resistance level. Oh, yeah, quite hard to see that. That's better. This thing obviously sold off massively because the Russian dude who started it bought a mansion or something with a loan that he couldn't pay back. Everyone was waiting for it to pump, and instead it did an ETH thing. Oh yeah, and then just a quick look at TAP. Looks like it might be bottoming here. I like this kind of tweezer bottom. RSI is like curving around here. This is the daily chart. The stock's turning around as well. MACD, let's have a look. MACD is kind of turning around, maybe a bit early days. Could be a bit more consolidation here. But yeah, just watching this, I know everyone's, not everyone, but a lot of the guys in Discord and generally like in the community have got big bags. Yeah, still got a bag of this. Excited to see how it plays out when they finally go live. Let's have a look over here. Yeah, and then I was just looking at Hyperliquids. This looked better before I started streaming. It's a daily chart. This looks like it might be rolling over, actually, which is a shame because this looked super good earlier. Yeah, the stock's coming down. It's definitely rolling over. Did it? Bollocks. Looked really good earlier. Purse still looks good. So not too sure if this is like a meme coin, but I think you also get accumulate points by holding per spot as well. So this looks pretty good. Good buyback from Monday. Nice chunky daily candles. Big level down here. Went through the purple box. Let's delete that now. Way above the VWAP. If this downtrend breaks, probably going to consolidate a bit more over here. Let's draw this further down. I wouldn't be surprised to see some compression here. Maybe another sort of dip down to the VWAP. But then I would like to see some higher lows after that and for this to break up. So yeah, this is my Coinalyze chart that I was looking for earlier that I've drawn on, just showing how this thing resets before it goes higher. Yeah, that's what I've got for today. If anyone's got a chart they want to look at, then let me know. Otherwise, I'll just take a quick look at the deck screen or watch lists to see if anything jumps out at me there. Actually, let's have a look at. Looks like the VIX is still coming down. Let's hide this. Or chopping around, rather. I mean, this thing can take like another week to play out. Such a massive amount of capital being refactored. But it looks like it's rolling over. Basically giving you a dead cat, which is what you want to see. Let's have a look at yes. S&P is making its way up again, which is what I expected. Looks really good. Nice W bottom. That is exactly what we want to see. And the Nasdaq, let's have a look on the 4-hour. Similar situation, maybe not as strong as the S&P. Still a bit of risk-off sentiment in the market, which is why you would see stuff like S&P outperforming Nasdaq. Yeah, that's what I've got for today, guys. Unless you guys have got a chart you want to have a look at, gonna wrap it up there. I'm about 40 minutes in, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Cheers for now.